Hi, Gerhard Bloom, once again looking at the tyranny and the delusions of the social justice movement. So I would like to talk about the absolute moral necessity for the existence of the state of Israel. Right. After World War II, never again, never again. Well, millions of Muslims have flooded into Europe. That's right, flooded into Europe, bearing with them the most barbarous flavors of Islam, most extreme, murderous, anti-Semitic strains of Islam. And you see this not just in Europe, you see this Australia, gas the Jews, thousands gathering, gas the Jews. Awful. And we see this across Europe. And yes, there's been a dramatic rise in anti-Semitic attacks in Europe. And pardon me, my fair city, Toronto, Palestinians yelling about beheading Jews, right? Across the United States now, there have been a number of, alarming incidents on college campuses. Yes, these little social justice fascists marching along with his radical Muslims and, shouting Palestinian slogans, from the river to the sea, and yes, they do actually understand this means wiping out the absolute state of Israel, and undoubtedly this would entail the absolute slaughter and brutalization of the people of Israel. And before I move on, people, of conspiratorial bent, deny these absolute atrocities. So Israel invited, media representatives for a screening. They were not allowed to take videos of the screening, but they were provided visual evidence, right? And well, why wouldn't they show that to the general public? Imagine if it was a member of your family lying there dead after, the grossest of atrocities. You do not want that horror, their dignity being lost, right? That is why Israel is trying to protect the dignity of the dead. A baby was shoved into an oven. There is, yes, evidence of that. All sorts of brutal atrocities, yes, beheadings, at any rate. So the evidence is there. If you don't believe it, it's willful blindness, Holocaust denier, right? Just like climate alarmists, right? Anyways, no, this happened, inexcusable. But at any rate, back on college campuses, there's one campus where Jewish kids had to run into the library and the librarians had to lock the door as these monsters were pounding on the door, trying to, what are they going to do with these Jewish kids, right? Absolutely awful. And, across the United States, there's, mass protests and rallies, and Jews are being told, oh, yeah, avoid the area. No, the police should get there in force and protect the rights and freedoms of Jewish individuals to live their lives, to go about in peace and wear, the Star of David like I wear proudly, as well as my cross, or what have you, right? No, they're living under a tyranny of fear now. And like I say, across Western Europe, now in the United States, and across Europe, right? Jews represent about 1.3 million people in Europe. And Muslims, 44 million people and counting fast. The freedoms of Western Europe are being lost, and to the chants of Allahu Akbar. And this is happening in the United States. So yes, Jews need a homeland. Yes, and that homeland is a very dangerous neighborhood, but it's their neighborhood and they're defending it, unlike in the United States, where Jews are being told to avoid certain areas, and now college campuses, they're being threatened on, right? College campuses, ideological poisonous nonsense with these fascists for Islam and these fascists for social justice. And yes, they truly are, useful idiots, because when the lights of Western civilization and freedom go dark and lost to Islam, there will be no queers for Palestine. No, there won't be any, gay rights parade or pride parades anywhere in Europe and in the United States if we lose this, centuries-old battle against Islam. So yes, Israel needs to exist. This is absolutely awful. The United States, yeah, about 1.3% of the population is Muslim, right? 4.5 million Muslims in the United States now. Jews represent about 2.4% of the population, about 7.6 million people. And they're fleeing Europe as fast as they can, right? They're being a dramatic rise of anti-Semitism, and why should we be surprised? And in the United States now, this needs to turn around. Anyways, I think that may have been a bit rambly, but the case is clear. Israel needs to exist because Jews need a place where they can be safe from this poisonous leftist Marxist ideology and from radical Islam, or like I like to call it, Islam. Thank you so much for your time and attention. And do check out my book, Deconstructing Social Justice. It's available on Amazon. You can even get an Audible version. So, if you don't have time to read, you can listen to it. And I promise you, it will put this cultural Marxist ideology into perspective, deconstructing its various narratives from Black Lives Matter to this whole radical sex and gender stuff. And yes, this poisonous Islamic nonsense. Anyways, thank you so much for your time and attention now. And if you like the video, please do drop a thumbs up. Thank you so much for your time. Bye-bye.